War Factory Threat 64 is the hardest base so far. The building health is at 20,000%. That's an insane amount of building health, but it gets even crazier. The shield is at 170 million. I don't even think that there exists a troop combination that could finish this shield in one attack. Unfortunately, the replay of the first attack is gone, but this is how the base looked after the first attack. Basically, it was just a preparation attack. I hacked the 2 rocket launchers with Sparky, then I dropped Giuseppe Sciagura and the Cyber Grenadier, mainly just to clear the mines, and in the last step I took out the Grappler and threw some chaff abilities onto the Shark Blaster and Laser Beam. In the second attack, my goal was mainly to take out these 4 prototypes, the 2 laser beams, the Doom Cannon and the Shock Blaster. And for that I used Anna and Linnea and Bullet. So I also just used Linnea. I took out the medics before so that they would not run around and maybe trigger the laser beams too early. Because I'm flaring here and I'm waiting a little bit. And just right now I'm flaring onto the Shark Blaster, and now Bullet is gonna walk out of the smoke first. And the laser beams are gonna target Bullet, and they are going to keep targeting Bullet and not switch to the Elite Medic or to the Bombardiers. And at this point I just dropped the 2 Cyber Leaders for the Bombardier and the Zuka. And I flared the Bombardier onto this laser beam that is more back, so that one gets taken out a bit earlier, and then also the Zukas on the Doom Cannon. And I dropped the remaining troops as well. And the remaining troops can just farm their gunboat energy while the other troops are clearing the defenses. And I also used armor mainly to make sure that Bullet can stay alive a little bit longer against these rocket launchers. And at this point both of these laser beams are almost taken out. So the Bombardiers got 1 of them, and now there's just 1 laser beam left. I also can heal Bullet back with Linnea, one of the active abilities. And there, this laser beam should get taken out pretty soon. And then I can, just need to take out the 4 rocket launchers. And after that, most of the base is cleared. Only the shields are left. So right now through 2 Sharks, I think also 1 Critter, which I think didn't really make a big difference, but I just had to keep shocking the rocket launchers. I could have also used maybe 2 Shocks to shock the mortar as well, and then used the active ability from Anna. But I tried to also use some gunboat energy to maybe throw some chaff abilities and then overtime onto the laser beam and the Shock Blaster, like I did earlier. But in the end it didn't really make a difference. So I just kept shocking the rocket launcher and took those out. And the Shock Blaster behind the core and also the Grappler are actually not gonna be in range of Bombardiers. So that's why I just don't really worry about those. I just need to take out the rocket launchers and I guess the Boom Cannon. And maybe the mortar would help a bit, but don't really need it. And at this point most of the rocket launcher health is gone. I didn't even shock again. I could have shocked maybe and took out more defenses, but I still was able to finish the rocket launchers. And just trying to take out maybe the Boom Cannon, but at this point almost all the troops are gone. There's nothing really they can do. So now it's just waiting for the Grappler to take out the remaining troops. Now the third attack, I used 2 Bombardiers, Anna and the Cyber Bombardier. I just wanted to take out a little bit of these buildings to get some extra gunboat energy. And I also cleared a few of the mines. Reason for that is I'm trying to drop Bullet last, so that the Simo at the end will just target Bullet and not the Bombardiers or the Laser Rangers, which I'm going to drop later. So at this point I just farmed some gunboat energy and I'm layering back to the beach, and now I can basically drop the remaining troops. So of course the Elite Medic and then the Laser Rangers. I could have also used one boat of Shockeneers. I think that would have made it a lot easier. Because with all these buildings close right next to each other, the Shockeneers could shock basically everything. And also was a bit annoying that these three buildings, these three cells, did survive, or that they are just existing in that place. So I had to waste some gunboat energy taking them out and also some time, which was a bit annoying. But yeah, with all the troops in that corner, they can finish off these buildings quite quickly, and then 2 shocks. And then I can keep those buildings shocked just by throwing Anna's ability onto them. And then I also used a few taunts, trying to make sure that Bullet survives a little bit. And I should have already at this point flared the Cyber Bombardier onto the Shock Blaster, which I did just right there, to try and take it out. And yeah, because I don't have the Shockeneer, I have to keep activating Taunt and also shock the defenses. So that just costs a lot of gunboat energy, which I don't really have because I only have 2 gunboat energy statues. So yeah, Bullet is getting taken out right there, and that is basically the end of this attack. It doesn't look like I got a lot of defenses, so we'll see how the next attack is going. And 4th attack, again Bullet. This time I added 1 mech, and I think 1 mech worked really nice in this case, because there's just these 2 defenses, the flamethrowers and machine guns, which have to get shocked from the mechs. And before, the defenses were a bit more spread out, so the mech would not have been able to shock everything. And yeah, the Cyber Bazooka works also really nicely there. I shocked the rocket launcher and the mortar and the laser beam, and I kept throwing Anna's ability onto them. And the Cyber Bazooka can just take out the mortars, the rocket launcher and the laser beam, while the other troops keep clearing. And yeah, with the Laser Rangers, it is taking usually some time to destroy the first buildings, but because all the buildings behind get damaged, after the first building is taken out, it gets a lot easier. Yeah, unfortunately right there I lost the Zookas. So I had to just throw more shocks onto the rocket launcher and the laser beam. But yeah, the health is also really low. That's why the Laser Rangers struggle that much. With over a 10,000% building health. It is just really difficult. Like, each of this building has, I think, 2 or 3 million health. And that is basically the health of 1 core. Then flirt the mech onto the rocket launcher actually. Could have done that maybe even earlier to save some shocks. But yeah, now few taunts. Like, I don't know if you saw it, but the one mortar earlier, it almost one-shot my mech, which is I think a bit crazy that a mech or a mortar is able to do that much damage. And I'm just have to take out the core, or at least do a little bit of damage to it. Yeah, there I lost Linnea to the mortar unfortunately, so doesn't get more abilities or more charges. I think the Elite Medic would have gotten taken out pretty soon anyway from the Shock Blaster. But yeah, I think if I would have used the Shockeneers in the first attack where I cleared the shields, I probably would have been able to finish the base in 4 attacks. But now it's gonna be the 5th and last attack, and there I'm just using all Zookas. Of course, always the Elite Medic and Anna, because they deal so much damage. Even more damage than if I would use just 2 Bazookas. Yeah, just Bullet with some taunts to tank the flamethrowers. At this point it doesn't really matter what I'm doing. I'm just shocking the Shockbuster and Grappler to keep the Zookas alive so they can deal more damage to the core. I could have also reflared a bit, stayed outside of the flamethrower ranges and just attacked the core, but it doesn't really make a big difference. Just a matter of time to take out the core. I think it had about 13 million health at the end, or at the beginning of this attack, which is still quite a lot. But of course, when you start from, I think, above 50 million health, it is not that much. And yeah, there. What's also nice is about the elite medic is it gives a shield, so that way the sniper towers or the boom cannons, they take 2 shots to take out 1 Zuka, which helps a little bit sometimes, I think. But yeah, the core health is going down. Almost nothing left. And I'll just a few more shots to take out the headquarter. And there it goes. And beat the war factory in the 5th and last attack. But to be fair, the last attack was not too difficult. And right now that puts me in 2nd place. So far I'm the only one that beat stage 64. But thanks for watching. Bye.